Good morning, and welcome to this year's inaugural edition of Marquette in Motion.
We're your hosts, Miranda Peters
and Hallie Kilberg.
It's a new year at Marquette, and possibly the most exciting part of it all. Marquette in Motion is back. Hallie and I are back as your hosts.
Back also is Justina Denlinger, who once again will share a special feature. This week, Justina will be informing us on Marquette's 2017 Open House event.
And new to Marquette in Motion are juniors Garrett Krieg and Jeb Schwager. This year, Garrett and Jeb will be bringing us all the details in sports. They'll have John and Sam's big shoes to fill, but I think they're up for the challenge.
This year, we'll also be welcoming two new freshmen to our radio show family, Molly Minster and Maura Tracy.
Molly and Maura will be conducting our weekly interviews. Their interview today will be with Marquette's principal, Mr. Jeff Kaiser. We look forward to that interview later in the show.
We'll round out the show by bringing you all the upcoming events and activities.
So other than a slightly new format to Marquette in Motion, what else is new this year at Marquette? Well, as many of you may have seen if you attended the pork roast, our beautiful new gym and parish center are complete.
Students are still eating lunch in Kiefer Hall, however, and will continue to do so until the new kitchenette is complete, which we are told will be just a few short weeks from now.
With that, of course, comes the new parking lot, which the teachers have already begun parking in.
And this year also marks the first year that Marquette will be putting on two separate fall productions, The Glass Menagerie and Goldilocks and Little Red.
Students are already practicing for these productions, which will happen in November, but we'll bring you all the details at a later date.
And students are enjoying their new touchscreen computers this year.
Our technology has been updated, and on the first day of high school, students received new Chromebook computers.
Teachers are taking advantage of this wonderful technology. Math teacher Mrs. Storm has been flipping the classroom this year. For each lesson, she records a video of herself teaching it.
Then the students' only homework for the night is to watch the video. The next day during class, the students practice the concepts they've learned, having the advantage of their peers and Mrs. Storm.
So this year, we're welcoming new methods of teaching, as well as new teachers.
This year, Marquette welcomes 4 new staff members.
Mr. Noah Cornelius is the new K-12 choir director.
Mr. Isaac Storm is the middle school math teacher, the Algebra A and B teacher for high school students, and he will also serve as Marquette's athletic director.
Mrs. Erin DeSoto will also be giving extra help to elementary students in reading and math as our special needs teacher.
And Marquette is elated to welcome back Mrs. Mary Rubel. Mrs. Rubel will be at Marquette 2 days a week, and she will be working with K-5 students individually and in small groups.
Marquette is pleased to welcome all the new
and returning
staff members to our family.
And we'll have more for you, our audience family, after these words from our sponsors. Welcome back to Marquette in Motion. Here with all the details about Marquette's upcoming open house is Justina Denlinger.
On Tuesday, September 26, Marquette Catholic will once again be hosting its annual open house. The event will begin with a short assembly in the MEC at 6:30 p.m., with Mr. Kaiser giving a brief welcome, followed by preschool and elementary teachers being introduced. Families and friends are then invited to check out the new facilities, visit any and all classrooms, meet with teachers, and socialize with one another. The PTO will even be providing cookies and lemonade for everyone. The open house event will conclude at 7:30 p.m. For Marquette in Motion, this has been Justina Denlinger.
Thanks, Justina. Just like in a lot of houses, sports are a pretty popular pastime. Here with all the details in volleyball and cross country are Jeb and Garrett.
Thanks, Hallie. On September 7th, the Marquette cross country team traveled to Northeast for their first meet of the season. The girls' team ran well, winning the meet with a score of 27. Hallie Kilberg led the girls' team, placing second with a time of 19:34. The boys also ran well and placed sixth, with Jeb Schwager leading the team with a time of 19:33.
The cross-country teams also competed at the Midland Invitational on September 11th in Wyoming. The girls won the meet with Hallie Kilberg placing first and running an all-time personal best of 18:55. The boys also ran well and placed sixth, with Will Drouse leading the team with a time of 18:45.
The freshman-sophomore volleyball teams traveled out to Bellevue High School last Monday, September 11th. The team was able to walk away with a victory.
The JV and varsity then traveled to Northland on Tuesday, both teams coming out with a win. From Marquette in Motion, this has been Jeb Schwager
and Garrett Krieg
with your Marquette Sports Report. Stay tuned, there's more coming up after this word from our sponsors.
Welcome back to Marquette in Motion. Here are our two new freshman reporters, Molly Minster and Maura Tracy, interviewing Mr. Kaiser.
Hi, I'm Maura Tracy.
And I'm Molly Minster, and we're interviewing our principal, Mr. Kaiser.
The first question is, what fun and exciting things did you do this summer?
Over the summer, my dad and I took a canoe trip. We went 850 miles down the Mississippi River. It took us about 3 weeks to do. So that was certainly one of the highlights of my summer. But once we got back from that grand adventure, then I started getting ready for the upcoming school year. And while that might not seem like a lot of fun to some people, for me it is very exciting getting ready for another year with students.
What do you think our main focus as a school is this year?
When I thought about what do we want this year to be themed around, I didn't take too long to come to the conclusion after watching the news over the course of the summer, seeing all of the things that are going on in the world around us, that our world is lacking in things like empathy and kindness and love. And when students leave our school, while it's very important that they leave here understanding math and science and English and the core subjects, it's just as important that they grow in their empathy towards others, in their kindness, in their respect towards the world, in things that you can't measure on a test. And when I met with teachers over the course of this summer and we talked about what it is that we are going to work on, one of those key themes that came up time and time again was to make sure that as teachers, we choose love, so that way as students, they can see that example and choose love as well.
What are your feelings toward the new building?
Our new facilities are going to greatly enhance the educational opportunities we're able to provide as a school, and they're able to enhance the offerings that we're able to provide for the entire community of Bellevue and the surrounding areas. The practice gymnasium will also serve as a cafeteria, and that cafeteria means that students will no longer have to cross the street to go to lunch. That doesn't seem like much when it's so warm outside, but when the weather gets cold, all of our young elementary students would have to put on boots and snow pants just to go across the street to have lunch. We no longer have to do that. When it comes to the activities that the community will be able to participate in, there's a parish center that's been added on as well. They'll be able to host different sacramental prep, card parties, movies, small funeral dinners. There's going to be so much that's able to happen here. And one thing I take a lot of pride in at our school and our parish is that we're interwoven. Just like we try to interweave the faith aspect of an education with the academic side of things.
How do you think our school will grow together with the new building?
One thing that's very unique at Marquette is that we now will have one building that's going to hold all of kindergarten through 12th grade. Actually, preschool all the way through 12th grade. And this is much different than like the one-room schoolhouses of long ago, where they had one place that held all these grades. Our entire building is so important to what it is of who we are as a school. Think about it like this. When I started here just 3 years ago, there were kindergarten students that were learning just how to read. Now when I walk into a second grade classroom, I see these students and they're learning mathematics and multiplication, division. They're learning so far beyond where they were just 2 years ago. Our students are able to see this in each other as well. Our students, for example, there was a time about a year ago where there was a high school class that had been dismissed to go to lunch. And they were crossing the street, and a group of elementary students saw these high schoolers crossing the street, and they weren't using the crosswalk. And some of the elementary students knew that you're supposed to use a crosswalk, and they called out to the high schoolers, telling them that you have to use a crosswalk. And without saying anything, just watching, I just watched the high schoolers turn around and cross the street at the crosswalk. It's knowing that we are an example for each other. When we're one unique building and one place, we're only going to be able to grow stronger as a school and as individuals, either setting the examples for others and being that example or having that example provided for us. And we all try to make sure to be an example to others in everything that we do.
Thanks, girls. Now, to round out the show, Miranda and I will be informing you on all the upcoming Marquette events. So get ready to mark your calendars.
Today, the JV volleyball girls are competing in a tournament at Starmont, while the varsity girls are playing at West Delaware.
On Monday, September 18th, the cross-country team will be running at the Bellevue Golf Course, starting at 4:30.
Also on Monday, the freshman and sophomore volleyball team will be traveling to play Galena.
The next day, on Tuesday, all of the high school volleyball teams will be playing against Easton Valley, playing at Easton Valley.
And make sure you come down and watch the volleyball girls play on Parents' Night, Thursday, September 21st, against Lisbon.
As you can tell, there's a lot going on and a lot yet to come at Marquette. And thanks to all of our reporters this week.
For Marquette in Motion, this has been Miranda Peters.
And Hallie Kilberg.
And remember, stay informed, stay involved, stay in motion.